Evaluating sources. So there are four standards that judge rhetorical discourse, and the evaluation criteria includes aesthetics, also known as the artistic standard, effects, which is the response standard, truth, the accuracy standard, and ethics, the moral standard. And so starting off with the artistic standard, that's more focused on producing an aesthetically satisfying discourse. And so it's simply just a measure of how skillfully, artistically, or creatively a rhetorical act attempts to alter perception, create visual experience, attract and hold that attention, and induce participation identification. And it's just a matter of how creatively a writer responds. And then moving on to the response standard, that's more focused on achieving the desired effects. And so it's the evaluation of a rhetorical act of effectiveness, and it basically assumes that every rhetorical act must communicate, induce participation from an audience, and affect perception, beliefs, and attitudes. And opposed to the artistic standard, it's more of a matter of how well an act achieves its purpose. And then the accuracy standard, this is focused on presenting as truthful and complete an account of the issue as possible. And so it's the measure of the similarity between the reality presented in the rhetorical act and reality as presented in other sources, aka the truth. And so the accuracy of evidence in the discourse must be tested against other sources known to be well informed, and also compared against other arguments available. And then the moral standard, that's focused on using ethical means and advancing ethically desirable ends for society and for rhetorical practice. And it's what judges whether the rhetoric helps or harms. And it promotes social harmony or discord. It evaluates the social consequences of rhetorical action, its purpose, and the means by which they are achieved. It judges the long-term consequences of rhetoric for society, for future rhetorical action, as well as how they're affected by new technology. And so these rhetorical evaluations must be modified depending on special pressures created by the context and the occasion, and these include completing rhetorical action, preceding or subsequent events, the media of transmission, and expectations and requirements created by the occasion. And so each of these must be thoroughly examined to see if it qualifies or refines our judgments about aesthetics, effects, truth, ethics. And then moving on to the two essays. These two essays, they both use their own sources to support their essay, and they both focus on two different types of social media apps, one being Venmo and one being Snapchat. And so starting with the Snapchat essay, that's Huet's essay. It's called Snaps to Riches, The Rise of Snapchat Celebrities. So she references a very credible source, Sean McBride, which is Snapchat's first celebrity and one of the first people to make money out of his Snapchat art. So he's one of the first people to gain success out of the app, so that makes him very credible for this essay. And throughout the essay, Huet just basically discusses the popularity and success of the rise of Snapchat and all of the celebrities they've made out of this success, including Sean McBride. And then in Atik's essay, Atik's public displays of transactions, although she doesn't directly state her source's name, this essay was based off her own experience, and she uses Melissa as the name, which isn't really her real name, but it's her source, her own experience. And she uses Melissa as an example to demonstrate that Venmo has turned more into a form of social media rather than just an app for financial transactions, which was what it was meant to be in the first place. That Atik simply just uses to keep up with people's lives, specifically their love lives, with Melissa, as people have seen. And so, yeah, both authors use their own credible sources to strengthen their essay on how social media has really affected these people, whether it was negatively or positively with Sean McBride's success or Melissa's very public breakup. But yeah,